All right, we got a Gavin McInnes reaction video. He's doing a Memorial Day special today because he's going to take Monday off. Let's get into it. And he ain't gonna jump no more. Gory, gory, what a hell of a way. Okay, I gotta say I kind of like his helmet, World War II style helmet there, and his jacket. But you got to button that chin strap up, kid. Who do you think you are, John Wayne? That's what they used to tell us when we were in the army. Run around with your chin strap unstrapped, unsnapped. You just get yelled at. A hell of a way to die. Gory, gory, what a hell of a way to die. And he ain't gonna jump no more. Gotta get one of those boom boxes. I don't know why.
God, I'm so scared of any kind of disrespect or blasphemy.
That's not disrespect. God threw me That's not disrespect, man. You'll be fine.
Motorcycle. I'm cucked. So I feel. Was that
he's cucked by God?
That disrespectful to end that song before it was done? Blood on the Risers. One of my favorite songs. It's a parody of the Battle Hymn of the Republic. It was made big in World War II, and it's just a great example of these soldiers not being dupes.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's different. In World War II, everybody was rushing to go fight the evil Nazis, right? Everybody wanted to go fight not everybody, but the majority of American men went to go fight over there, and females, not to fight, but nurses and whatnot. Yeah.
Trump said, "Oh, I don't like my prisoners getting caught. I like real soldiers," or some shit like that.
I think he said, "I don't like my soldiers getting caught."
He never said that, and
right, he didn't say that, but that's what they claimed. They claimed he said, "I like my soldiers not getting caught."
The idea that these guys are just blindly going into battle with no idea what the consequences are is a kind of a leftist view.
Yeah, especially if you join combat arms. I joined the infantry in 1984. What does infantry do? Well, you're a bullet stopper. 11 bang bang, 11 bullet stopper, ground pounder, a grunt, infantry. That's what you do. If something that breaks out, chances of you going are pretty good. I never went. I was in Korea. Well, I had orders to go to Korea in Panama, December 1989, when we jumped in. Well, I didn't, but the Rangers next to us did. Flew out of Fort Lewis and jumped into Panama, triple canopy, all that kind of stuff. 7th ID down in Fort Ord, California, also went down there. They're straight leg. 7th ID straight leg. I was also, later on in my military career, I was attached to those guys. But yeah, so I had orders to go to Korea. January 27th, I believe, was Super Bowl Sunday. I was on a plane flying out in 1990. And then, of course, Bush was in office, right? I joined during the Reagan years in '84. It was great those first 4 years. But then as soon as Bush took over, we immediately, he took over '88. The following year, we're jumping into Panama. And then the following summer, in 1990, we're invading Iraq. I was on a DMZ in South Korea. Yeah, so we got froze there a little bit longer. I think it was 6 months longer. Just got froze there. Nobody's going anywhere. Nobody's getting orders to go anywhere, go home, go back to a different duty assignment. Everybody's froze. When that finally winded down, I got orders to go to Fort Ord, California, 7th ID, 7th Infantry, 2nd and 27th Wolfhounds. And I loved it. I love the straight leg. Straight leg infantry is the best. You know why? Because when you get out of the field, you just clean your weapons, turn in your sensitive items like your weapon, your night vision goggles, all the sensitive gear. You turn it all in. As soon as it's accounted for, you're released. And you usually get like a 3-day weekend or whatever. But anyways.
And clearly they know damn well how fucking dangerous it is to be a paratrooper. So yeah. They wrote that song about it.
You kind of got to sign up for that too, right? You kind of know what you're getting yourself into for the most part. Except for maybe Vietnam, right? you go to boot camp and they give you orders. I guess that's what they do in the Marine Corps. Maybe they did that in the Army as well. I'm not sure. But I'm just basing that off of what I've seen in the movies, like during Vietnam. And, well, like, what was that movie? A Full Metal Jacket, basic training. He's giving out duty assignments. Yeah, but you go to basic, and then after that, you go to whatever specialty school, advanced infantry training or whatever school you go to. You go to basic training, which is 6 weeks, and this has changed. 6 weeks. Then you go to AIT, which is another possible 6 weeks, and then if you go to jump school, you're off to jump school. I forget how long that is, 3 weeks maybe, or if you go to air assault school, that's another 3 weeks. Yeah,
it's about a paratrooper who jumps off. And his legs get tangled up in the, I don't know all the terms. The silk from his reserve spilled out and wrapped around his legs. The risers swung around his neck. Connectors cracked his dome.
The risers
lines were tied in knots around his skinny bones. Yeah. The canopy became his shroud. He hurtled to the ground. There was blood on the risers, there were brains upon the chute, intestines were a-dangling from his paratrooper suit. He was a mess. They picked him up and poured him from his boots. And he ain't gonna jump no more. So we're not doing a show on Monday. I'm gonna be doing Memorial Day stuff. Probably go to the parade, barbecue. I will not be saying Happy Memorial Day, because that's Veterans Day. This is Memorial Day, first day of summer. Big day for barbecuing. We'll be barbecuing up a storm, or we just redid our deck. Hopefully the pool will be done by then. I doubt it. But I think it's important that we say, enjoy your Memorial Day. Sometimes as a joke, I like to say, sad Memorial Day. But I think it's important to say, enjoy your Memorial Day and remember what it's for.
Yeah, it's for the guys that fall in combat. Guys that didn't come home, right? That's Memorial Day. Memorial. Right? Remember.
Because today is the day we commemorate our heroes, the men who died. I think it started with the Civil War, post-Civil War. We had so many bodies, we needed to start making national graves for them, and the wives and the families would go there every Memorial Day or once a year and, make it nice, trim the grass, put the new flowers there. And then we had World War I and World War II. And it became a major day. But I think a lot of us forget what it's for. It's become the party weekend where you listen to Kid Rock, which you should do. They would want, that's why they fought. And I was talking to John Cairns, the Vietnam vet, and I'm like, what about the differentiation between volunteers and those who were drafted? Is it different? And he's like, nope, a bullet's a bullet. As long as you.
Well, and also when those guys that got drafted get into a unit and you're surrounded by a bunch of guys who volunteered, you're going to start forming friendships. You're going to bond. You're going to become a brotherhood, right? So you're not fighting for, and if you're in a foreign country, you're not fighting. What are you fighting for? You're fighting for the guys to the left and right of you, right? You're just taking orders, but you're fighting for the guy left and right of you. Now, if we got invaded by China here in America, it'd probably be a totally different thing, but you're still fighting for the guy to the left and right of you, but also for the people behind you. But yeah, I get what he's saying.
You were at your post. And I also said, the guys who didn't, it's not like you were dragged by your neck. Like 75% of the guys who went to Vietnam volunteered. And if you didn't want to go, you could piss off to Canada. So it's not like there were the brave guys who went there and fought and died, and then there was the ones who were dragged against their will screaming. There was plenty who went against their will and remained conscientious objectors, like a lot of medics were those kind of guys. Or have you ever heard of Sergeant Frank, I think it was? Was that his name?
Sergeant York?
Sergeant York, yeah. There was a big famous movie about him in the 20s, but he was a gigantic 6-foot-something redhead who didn't want to go to war. He was a conscientious objector. Does he deserve any less commemoration? Actually, he's a Veterans Day guy because he didn't die in World War I. He's a World War I hero. But he captured 135 Germans and he in one badly confiscated 35 machines.
How do you capture 130 something German soldiers at the same time be a conscientious objector. Conscientious objector.
Machine guns.
Wow.
And I don't know, people were shorter back then. So being a 6 foot tall, 6 foot something redhead was intimidating. But he was a conscientious objector. So my point is, Memorial Day is about every fallen soldier, no matter what the conditions or the war. And that's the thing, too, about whether you're drafted or volunteer. And obviously, we outlawed the draft right after Vietnam. You're still incredibly brave, you know, under any circumstance, because you sign up as like a Republican guy for Reagan, and then you get fucking, you know, a Bill Clinton, and you got to go fight some Iraq war. They obviously don't.
You sign up for Reagan. You sign up under Reagan in 1984. Bush gets elected in 1988, and a year later, you're in, within 6 months, a year later, within 6 months, you're in 2 different conflicts.
Don't know what wars they're going to. And it could be the stupidest war in the world.
Yeah.
Like Vietnam was stemming communism, but no one seems to think that we should have done that. I kind of see that point of Vietnam, but I haven't heard it. World War II is supposed to be the cool one because it was the Nazis and they're bad. I don't think we had any idea what was going on with the Jews until years after that war. We didn't go there to save the Jews from concentration camps. We went there because of Pearl Harbor.
We went there because of Pearl Harbor. In the public's eye, the news they fed us, because that was a false flag. Pearl Harbor was a false flag. The president knew. Was it Roosevelt? Who the hell was the president? Yeah, whatever president was at the time knew that Japan was coming to bomb Pearl Harbor, and they allowed it to happen to get us involved in World War II. And you got to remember, had a lot of Jews in America. A lot of Jews in America had a lot of influence in politics and Hollywood, just like they do now. And, you know, they didn't want to be kicked out of 110 countries. They just want to leave it at 109. So that's why we went into, that's ultimately why we went into Europe, D-Day and all that. But as far as the public news, because we got bombed by Japan. Why didn't we invade Japan? Why did we invade Germany? I get it. They were allies, the Axis, right? Germany, Italy, Japan. But anyways.
And then we decided we all of a sudden hate Japanese, Germans, and Italians. I don't see that as such a noble war. World War I seemed pretty silly. I still can't figure out World War I. A bunch of balkanized aggregations of European countries.
Wasn't it because I know Germany, didn't they want to expand into France? They were threatening France, and they ended up invading France. Meanwhile, was it the France Ferdinand, the Dutch of France Ferdinand, I don't know, got shot in Sarajevo. And that kicked off World War II or World War I.
Decided that the other one was going to get to them. And then someone murdered some guy on his way to a party, some guy with a big mustache. And now everyone has to die. Some Hungarian fucking ambassador.
Well, he was related to Duke. What's the guy's name?
Or something?
What's his name?
What was his name again?
Archduke of
Ferdinand?
Yeah, Archduke of Ferdinand was related to the Tsar of Russia before the Russian Revolution, and also related to some dude in England, some king or prince or something. They're all related somehow. They were cousins, I believe. But yeah, that's a weird situation.
Yeah.
Franz Ferdinand?
Yeah, Franz Ferdinand.
Then you had Korea, which I guess was communism. That makes more sense to me. You know what's a war that everyone assumes was a retarded piece of shit, but it makes perfect sense to me, is the Falklands. What was it? Was it Argentina? Yeah, I think it was the president of Argentina goes, "That's ours." And Margaret Thatcher goes, "What? No, dude. We got there a fucking long time ago. And there's nothing there but sheep. So we planted our flag. It's ours." But he was, Argentina. So he was having some trouble fucking his secretary. He had been caught.
Wow, I didn't know that. Wait a minute. So the dude was caught banging his secretary.
So he decided to create a distraction and started
Wow, a distraction / false flag. Yeah, distraction.
a war. And so I think 1,000 people died, according to the punk band Crass. But did she have a choice? Like, what if someone took Puerto Rico? I don't want to die for Puerto Rico, but, you know,
In total, 907 people were killed during the 74 days of the conflict. Additionally, there were 1,188 Argentine and 777 British injured or wounded.
it's kind of the rules. Like, what if someone says, I get to use your bathroom in your house, and they just live down the street? You're like, it's not a huge deal. It's just a little bit of pee-pee. He promises never to do a number 2. Just a little bit of pee.
Not gonna happen.
He's going to come in, use your bathroom, and leave.
That ain't gonna happen.
It's not really worth dying for, but it is. That's your home.
They start with the number 1, then they go to the number 2, then all of a sudden they're in your kitchen, and their microwave.
Dude, they don't even
Then you're sleeping with your wife.
have to do that.
Yeah.
It could just remain pee once a week. If someone wants to use your bathroom once a week, and they don't have a good reason, like they're a friend or whatever, that's a hill to die on. I'm sorry. Now, that doesn't mean I support Afghanistan, Iraq. I know I'm pro-Israel, but I do not want a fucking war with Iran. Netanyahu is a war hawk. Fuck that guy. And plenty of Israelis say the same thing, by the way. Anyway, so this episode is still the God's Wheel. We'll see how much Memorial Day he wants to inject into these stories. But brief Memorial Day intro and outro, and I'll try to keep things nice and long. That's what my urologist says every time I go in for a checkup.
Yeah, so happy Memorial Day, I guess. Or enjoy your Memorial Day. I don't know.